Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, men, women, and children of all ages, 8 to 80, blind, crippled, or crazy. This is Jive Sports, now with 100% less Brandon. Today I have a special guest. This is my buddy George, our buddy George. Met him doing this podcasting thing. I went on his show. We want to have him on our show, collab a little bit. He's going to probably make some appearances. I'll make some appearances. We'll mix it up and have a good time. He is one of the co-hosts of the Valley Sports podcast based out of Long Island, New York. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right. And when they had me on their show, they let me do a little introduction and a fan origin story. So I figure I'll shut up for once, let him explain who he is, who his partners are, his fandom, their history, and maybe I'll come in and have some, witty little quips here and there.
But like I always say, you can always interrupt me anytime you want. It's okay.
All right, George, the floor is yours. Tell West Michigan, mostly, who you are.
What's going on, everyone? My name is George. I am a co-creator of Valley Sports podcast based out of Long Island, New York. Little strip right off the New York State. Right, if you look on the map, we're that little strip right by the Atlantic Ocean. Me and my two best friends, we grew up together, and one day when I was just complaining and moaning and bitching about sports, my girlfriend said to me, why don't you just start a podcast since you have a somewhat free time and just complain about it online and see if people listen to you, and lo and behold, that's what it started. So, Zach, honestly, I haven't told anyone this because the origin of where the name came from is a pretty good story.
Well, let's hear it, because I was kind of curious what Valley has to do with, but I don't know shit.
So it's kind of stupid, but so when we finished high school, we have a big friend group. So about half of our friends went away from college. So people either went upstate or to another state, stuff like that, 3+ hours away. So we had about 6 of us who stayed home out of the 13 kids. And our friend Timmy, who hopefully the Jive fans will come to know and support. He's an interesting character, to say the least. I've known this kid since 3rd grade. He's my partner in crime at VSP over there. He likes to shrug a lot. He likes to, I don't know, this and that. So we called it Throwing Up the Valley, as we call it. And that, lo and behold, became our group chat name for the home kids.
Oh, you're in a gang.
Yeah, pretty much. So since about 2016, our group chat was called Bethpage Valley because that's where we grew up. And then the emoji was the guy doing this. So
Bethpage, I guess you're Richie Rich over there.
Yeah, where the Ryder Cup was just.
Yeah.
Did you watch that at all or no?
Bits and pieces. Not to digress, growing up, one of my good buddies was a all-state golfer and played collegiately, and he's been involved with golf his whole life. His whole family's involved with golf, and so he lives in Tampa now. And when we're growing up, we would spend a lot of time in my parents' basement playing Tiger Woods and trying to get me into golfing because he was so good. He makes everything look effortless, but I'm struggling and. So I used to keep up with golf a lot more, but not so much now. I still know who's good.
Sorry,
and
you couldn't pay me to watch. Sorry, I can't.
I
I tuned in when Tiger came back and won the Masters in 2019 was it? Because that's just
that.
A sick moment. But you couldn't pay me to throw on golf and watch. I'm sorry if that's a hot take or anything like that.
I think most people feel that way. I don't mind watching, a day 4 Sunday afternoon if there's a tight grouping where, first and 10th could be separated by a stroke or two. That's always interesting. But, yeah, so you and Tim and your buddy Nick, you're all buddies.
Yeah.
Your girlfriend talked you into,
much.
she's supporting you and basically the actual founder of this.
Yeah, she even jumps in and does Nick's job sometimes when he come in. Nick is our man behind the cam. He does all the stuff He's not. He's a little camera shy, so he doesn't really want to be on camera. So, but it works out in the end because he's got a great voice and he helps us out a lot. And sometimes when he can't make it, my girlfriend Olivia jumps in and does his job. And she honestly just comes on to annoy me, because she knows how to instigate me.
So speaking of annoying girlfriends, I'm glad you brought Olivia up. She's been super nice, and she's liking and sharing our stuff and your stuff,
Of
and
course.
very supportive. As I kind of grew to know you guys, and we got the group chat going on, me and my girlfriend were kind of nosy and we're lurkers. So I uh, I saw that she's tagged in all your stuff, so I looked at her page. She's got her own little business going on.
Yes, Effie
And,
Lifestyle. She started that about 2 years ago. So she works from home, and she has to go in once a week. So that today is the one day she has to go in. So she has a decent amount of free time at home. She taught herself how to crochet and do all that stuff, and she's like, "Oh, why don't I see if I can sell it?" And started picking up, and she's doing pretty
she's
good.
got all the good ideas.
Yeah,
But
right.
so I was showing my girlfriend her storefront or whatever, because I'm like, I don't know shit about fashion. Like, I'm kind of like a gym short and hoodie guy.
Yeah, me
My
too.
girlfriend basically has to tell me what matches and what doesn't. But I was having her look at the stuff, and she was like, "Wow, that's really fucking nice." And she was really scoping out. Um, it's like a shell shaped
Yeah,
bag.
yep, that's her. That was her summer thing. She makes custom stuff too. She made me like a Giants blanket. I have it at my house. I'll send you a picture one day. She took the old Giants logo where it's spelled out, and she put it over a white crocheted blanket and spelled. It's so sick.
Plug the name of her thing again.
Effie Lifestyle. It's named after her grandmother, who taught her how to do all this stuff. So
Spell it out.
EFFIE Lifestyle.
So I only mentioned that because it reminded me of a story. Because my girlfriend is also like she gets into a lot of different hobbies, and this was years ago, and you know how in relationships, or especially like when we were kids or whatever, you want to get into something, and in this situation it's kind of like boyfriend girlfriend. I'm talking about me and my girlfriend, but as a
Yeah.
kid, maybe there's like a toy or a thing you want to get into, and you beg your parents to like pay for this thing, and oh yeah, I'll use it every day, or I'll practice every day, and then you get the thing, and
And then
then
you
you
don't
might do
use
it
it anymore.
right. So I'm notorious for that. I told the yo-yo story on an episode where during COVID I watched a yo-yo video, and I spent like $200 on yo-yo stuff, and spent like maybe 20 minutes one day doing it and gave up. My girlfriend was getting into the crocheting and all that. I don't know the terminology, but she was doing the knitting thing and crocheting thing. And she was like, "Could you make me a loom?" And I'm like, "What's a loom?" And she showed me what it was, and I was like, "I think I could do that." So for a minute, I was like, you know, and my girlfriend usually follows through on things when she says, "I'm going to start doing this or that." She's one of the few people I know that actually does it. So it was weird, but at this, I felt it. I was like, I don't I don't think she's gonna use this thing. So I kind of like shrugged it off a little bit at first, but after a couple weeks of her saying like, I really want to like, I want you to make this for me if you can, otherwise I'm gonna buy one. And I looked at it, and so I was like, all right, let's go to Lowe's or Home Depot, whatever. I bought this board and some uh, eyelet, style screws with a little loop on top, because a loom is basically just a board and something with basically like screw threads that you can wrap the strings around and weave it around. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know shit about
yeah.
it. But anybody who knows what it is. So we go to Home Depot. I get this
Throw it down
fucking
in the comments, right?
yeah. I get the shit. I'm measuring it all out, making sure everything's equally spaced, and I put. It's not a difficult thing. A couple screw holes and some larger size nails, washers, and some bolts and whatever, and that's it. And so after weeks of begging me to do that, I do that. I make it finally, and I never saw her use it. She claims she did, but now that's
Isn't
kind of
it
been the
funny how
thing.
that works?
it's insane, but I've done it so much to her that it's kind of like anytime she says now, hey, let's, we should try doing this or try doing that, I get to say, well, remember the loom? So that's kind of like why that was in my mind.
Well, if you learn, how long have you guys been together?
We are going on 12 years in December.
Lord.
Yeah.
So I've been we're pushing almost 3 years, me and Olivia. So I've learned to just not bring up stuff like that because she'll be like, oh really, and then she'll have five other things to throw in there.
Yeah.
So
We're way worse at it than they are, and they have a
yeah,
better memory than we do.
yep,
Because
oh
that's
yeah.
the only thing I can think of is the
That
loom.
that's what they got in the back of their head at all times. Ready? They're like, oh, if this motherfucker brings this up, I got these five things to bring.
Yeah, they're prepared.
Yeah.
So back to you. You're the focus here. Valley Sports
Yes.
Podcast.
Yes, sir.
Nick, George, Timmy,
And
and
Timmy,
Olivia.
baby.
Mostly Tim and George. I got to hear Timmy's kind of fan origin. Obviously, you guys are from New York, so it's
Yep.
not a stretch to be a Giants fan. But what went into you choosing the Giants over the Jets or the Bills or any other team? Is there any
So
special?
so mine is as simple as it gets. Was born into this world. One day I was just watching sports with my dad, and my dad's like, "Well, you're going to be a Giants fan and a Rangers fan and a Yankees fan and a Knicks fan," and that's pretty much how it happened. I just grew into it. My dad just sat me down, made me watch the Giants growing up, and then he made me watch the Rangers and all that. Like I was born in '97, so I was way too young for the Jeter dynasty ish. I
Right.
only saw his last World Series in '09, so I was very young for when he was showing me all those World Series wins they had. But
Do you want to
he
talk
made me
about last night, or is it still kind of sore for you?
no, but if you tune into Valley Sports, we have another great special guest coming who's a big Yankee fan, one of our good friends. He's going to be coming on tonight. Depending on if we win or lose tonight, the Yankees should be an interesting episode. So, but yeah, last night was brutal. I can't even fathom. We have honestly the Yankees to this day still have the worst coach in sports or manager or whatever you want to call it. He is the biggest idiot. Did you watch the game or?
I was at work, but I was following along on my phone and kind of catching things here and there.
So once again, he decides to overmanage and take out our ace, who we pay all this money to bring in a reliever who blows the lead, which is just textbook what he does every single year. He just overmanages and does whatever the analytical nerds tell him to do from upstairs. And I'm honestly sick and tired of it. And if they lose tonight, he should be fired the next day. And I don't think any Yankee fan would disagree with that at this point.
I told you about my love for Don LaGreca, and
Yes.
I go back all the time and I watch the clips of like disgruntled Yankees fans who are calling in when they're like 30 games above 500 and got like a 15 game lead in the division. And one of the ones that sticks out is some guy calls and he goes, if Aaron Boone had the presence of mind to pinch hit for Gary
Gary
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yep.
Yeah, that shit, I fucking die every single time I hear that. Screen him out. I'll do Capitals numbers. Screen him
Or
out.
have the nurse dial him in.
Yeah, that shit kills me.
Dude, he
Real
had
quick,
a great rant the other night about he was fighting with Alan Hahn about the Yankees because he's like the Mets fans are on here crying about how the Yankee fans are getting used to losing in the playoffs. Yet my team can't even make the playoffs back to back years. Like he had a great rant the other day. He
and with
such
one of
a
the highest payrolls or the highest payroll in the league.
disgrace. But my problem is that the Yankees' issue is right in front of them, but yet they're too, I guess, safe to get rid of it because they're making the playoffs every year. So Hal Steinbrenner probably doesn't see that as a bad thing. He doesn't seem to have that winning attitude that his dad had, to where he wants a World Series and he died doing it, and he'll get rid of anyone that doesn't let him do it. Hal, since he's come in, the owner right now, he hasn't made any changes. They've had the same general manager. In 18, the year after they lost in the ALCS, they fired Joe Girardi, their manager that won a World Series with them, to bring in a guy in Aaron Boone who's just pretty much a yes man.
Yeah.
He's not a old school type manager where like I want this lineup, I want this guy in the lineup tonight, and he's playing whether you like it or not. He's a what do the numbers say? Oh, I'll go to this analytical nerd and he'll tell me this guy is really good against this lefty, so you have to put him in tonight. Our two of our best hitters were not in the lineup last night because of analytics, and that's what's the problem with the modern day Yankees. We have Jazz Chisholm, who had a 30-30 year. Granted, he hasn't been great against lefties, but how are you going to sit a guy who was pretty much an borderline all-star with a 30-30 season, and Ben Rice, who was a top 10 hitter in the AL and was scorching hot since July. He's batting .368 since July, and you bench him in a pretty much win or go home because now you got another game tonight against a pitcher that's notably murked us in Bayo. He is every time he faces us, it seems like he goes 6 scoreless. And Rodon, who's been very good this year, but he could be shaky at times. You had Fried on the mound, who gave you 6 in a third, at 102 pitches, making the biggest out of the night. Freaking sprinted the first to get the guy out, and you could tell he was pumped. And then Boone comes in, he's like, "Nope, you're done for the night, 102." While the other manager leaves Crochet in for 117 pitches, and he goes seven innings with 1 run. And he what do you have? 11 strikeouts, and he retired 17 straight batters at one point. It's ridiculous to watch. Just tired.
I love the passion. I love hearing. I always say that I'm a Mets fan because of Don LaGreca. I'm somebody who I can't watch regular season baseball too much. So when the playoffs start, that's when I kind of get interested.
Yeah.
Because playoff baseball's phenomenal to watch because every
so
at bat
underrated.
is intense and exciting.
Have you been to a playoff baseball game?
No, I have not.
Oh my God, you have no idea. It is.
Well, especially where you're at, that I know it's bananas every.
So I was at 3 amazing games that are pretty much famous among Yankee fans. I was at 2017 ALCS against the Astros, Game 4. They were down 4-0 going into, I believe, the 6th or 7th, and they ended up coming back to win 5-3. That was the craziest game I've ever been to. I got drenched in beer. I'm sitting in the bleachers. Every Judge homers to make it 4-1. People are throwing beers in the air, $20 beers, and getting showered with it.
Oh, yeah.
Then next inning, Barry hits a 2-run double to give us a 5-3 lead, and this stadium is just deafening. There's nothing like it. Everyone's just hanging on every pitch.
Yeah.
From pitch 1 to pitch 120. It's just nonstop.
That's the best thing about baseball, especially in playoffs. Every pitch means something, can mean something, which is why playoff hockey is so great because every shot on goal this could be win or lose right here.
Yep,
one mistake
100%.
can cost you. And that was what I was going to segue into. You said you're a Rangers fan. No interest in the Islanders?
No. So it's weird because I grew up in Long Island, but my parents grew up in Queens, and my dad was closer to. My dad grew up in Jamaica, which is closer to the Bronx, which is why he's not a Mets fan. So my mom grew up in a Mets household. My uncle's diehard Mets, Islanders, Jets, but she was a decent sports fan, but not until she married my dad did she become a huge sports fan, and she pretty much just all right, I grew up rooting for the Mets, but I'll be a Yankees and Rangers fan. So that's why sometimes she'll root for both Rangers and Islanders, and I'm like, yeah, you can't do that. You got to pick one because this is like rooting for the Red Sox and Yankees. Ma, you can't do this. So there was one year the Islanders went to the conference final, and she's rooting for them, and I'm like, yeah, I can't watch this game with you because you can't turn around the next year and root for the Rangers and pretend to like the Islanders because I can't. I understand you grew up liking the Islanders, but it just doesn't. I just can't fathom it. It's just a funny little thing that happens in our house. But
I've always been interested in the Islanders story because I don't know. Did you watch that 30 for 30 about? It's called Big Shot about John Spano. Do you ever hear the name John Spano tossed around over there?
no.
You don't know anything about John Spano?
Not really. So I only really know like the bigger names like Bossy and those
Well,
guys during
this
that
guy
time.
wasn't a player. He was a. I'll give you a quick run. I don't want to spoil it for you because if you haven't seen the 30 for 30 big shot about John Spano, there's this guy. This was, I think, in the early to mid 90s. Um, he he lived in Texas and he was rubbing shoulders kind of with like Roger Staubach and some other kind of like wealthy people, and he's like upper middle class, but he's not rich. He has a small
Yep.
little company, and he's got a couple bucks in his pocket, but he's nowhere. He's not a millionaire, but he's hanging out with millionaires,
Mm.
and he gets this idea probably through talking to these people about how kind of like they've kind of skipped a few steps, and he starts looking at how he could fraud his way into owning a team. And he
Oh.
was talking to the Dallas Stars, and they kind of like were this guy's sketchy. And I think he talked to like the Florida Panthers, and they said this guy's sketchy. And this was at the time where the Islanders were up for sale, and he, through all these fraudulent documents from banks that he said that he had uh, holdings or savings worth this much and assets worth this much, and had created these fake lawyer documents or whatever. He had convinced the Islanders that he was this guy worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and he literally tricked them into passing over the ownership rights of the Islanders to this fraud.
When was this?
And
The
no,
70s?
no, this was in the 90s.
What the? I
But
can't believe I've never heard of this.
the Islanders thought the NHL were going to be like doing their due diligence on this guy, checking into his background, and they thought that they were. So it was like this perfect storm where he, I think, officially owned the Islanders for a couple weeks, and he was
That's
trying to.
crazy.
He actually. Oh my, I don't want to tell you anymore because you got to watch it. But there's some other crazier shit that happens in there. How easy it used to be to trick banks and stuff.
My
Uh,
God, back then.
he got a loan from I think I can't remember the name of the bank, but he got an $80 million loan from a bank, and he said it was easier to get that loan than it was to get his first loan for his to buy his first car. And he was trying to
That's
work out all
crazy.
these deals to get a new arena built, and he could use that to get TV rights, and he almost pulled this fucking thing off.
Wow.
So
Well,
you got to
I
watch
will
it.
I will say one thing for Islander fans. Their new stadium is beautiful. It's in a perfect spot. Literally, you get off the train and it's like a 10-minute walk right from the train, and it's like they have like their own path for it. I'm very happy for them. Even though Nassau Coliseum was like a 10-minute drive from my house, I personally love going to Islander games because they're cheap, and most of my friends are Islander fans, so it's funny to watch them lose. So like anytime we go to games, if like they lose, they'd be so pissed off. And our one friend, two of our friends are one's a Capitals fan, one's a Penguins fan. So we'd always be at the games, and we'd always want to go to the Caps versus Islanders or Penguins versus Islanders because they'll be fans, and because the Rangers Islanders are always way too expensive. So anytime those teams won, I just die laughing with them because all the Islander fan friends that I have would all be so pissed off. So, and it's funny you bring up like fraudulent things happening in the 90s. I have a funny story that involves Ranger Islanders, and then I guess we can jump into the NFL finally.
Yeah.
So, to this day, my brother do not believe this story. But you know what it is? Maybe it did happen because it was the 90s and it was easier to like fraud your way into doing stuff. So, my dad has this Wayne Gretzky signed Rangers jersey in our house. It's hung up on the wall, still there to this day. It's his last years he played for the Rangers. So I think he said it was like 1998 he was at the game, or 99. He claims that they were doing a raffle for the Wayne Gretzky jersey signed, and they called out some seat number, and he jumped into the air and pretended it was his, and then went down and claimed it, and they never like checked to see if it was actually his, and that's how he got the jersey. And me and my brother are like, there's no way that actually happened. But it's like, you know what? And then me and him think to ourselves, we're like, maybe he could have pulled it off because they didn't really like care back then. But it's just like that seems like too good of a story to like. You know, sometimes maybe our dad wants to sound like he had some sick story where he just got this jersey out of nowhere. Maybe there's some guy that's still mad that he had that ticket and he doesn't have that jersey to this day. But
I think it's a low risk situation because I believe that I believe the story because if you go up there and somebody disputes that you have the ticket, like, oh, I misheard you or I misread it. So there's really no, you
oh
don't lose anything if
yeah,
you're caught.
nowadays they don't even. Nowadays they would 100% check. Back then, honestly
Right.
I believe it because if it was the 90s, there's no chance they're gonna check to see if they actually had it because they didn't care back then. That was like now it's that's like we're going on 30 years almost that happened.
Yeah. So you guys need to watch the 30 for 30 and let me know what you
Yes.
think. Football, which is why
Yes.
we're here. All right. I guess we'll just I'm just going to use the ESPN and just run down the fucking list of what happened last week and we can
Oh
talk
yeah.
about what needs to be talked about and
I mean, do you
kind
want to
of
start with the Giants?
we'll get there.
Can I? All right, we'll get there. I just wanted to shout out Abdul Carter because what a game did this guy have? What do you have? Like
Everything's
eight
going
pressures,
well.
8 pressures and a sack.
That
Like,
defense is going to be fucking a nightmare for everybody. Seahawks Cardinals, Thursday night
Yes.
football. What are your thoughts?
So
Did you watch any of it?
I watched every second of it, and I got to say, like, the Cardinals do not look good, and I was not a fan that they somehow kept it close. Seattle has been lethal this year. Outside of a fluky loss to the Niners, they should be 3-1. So I do like how Seattle looks, but I still don't think they'll win the division. I, I just, I feel like a better team would end up winning that game. I don't like that they didn't put away the Cardinals. They let them get too close, and they got lucky that they screwed up on the kickoff to put them at the 40. And I think the Seahawks would be like a borderline playoff team. Could be bounced in the first round. But but the thing is, I think they gotta stop gravitating to Charbonnet. I think Kenneth Walker is a lot better than people realize. I like using him more often.
Yeah.
Darnold looks good though.
So obviously, me and your boy Timmy.
A big
I'm
Seahawks
I'm
guy.
super high on the Seahawks. I picked them to win the division. I picked Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers to all make it, and I think that they're the best in that group. I agreed. I was kind of it bugged me a little bit that they didn't win by more. I mean, Arizona did score late to make it a 3-point game, and the Cardinals, to me, I was talking to Brandon earlier. It's like I don't know if I've ever seen a team open up with a weaker schedule because they played the Panthers, Saints,
Yep.
then the Hawks, and then now that they just beat
And
the
then
tight or yeah. So I mean they play a lot of soft teams and they just keep getting I don't know. So the Cardinals aren't any good, I don't think, and I'm super high on the Seahawks. They covered, I think it was a 2.5 point spread. They were on the road on a short week, which is the only kind of
Yes.
thing where it's kind of like, I can understand, but I would have liked to have seen them put them away sooner, like you said. So no big surprise there. I think most people had the Seahawks. Kind of a shocker. The early morning Sunday game in Dublin, Steelers versus Vikings. How did you feel about that?
So I was really surprised that Pittsburgh really coming into this game, they were one of the worst defenses in the league. And I mean, granted, Carson Wentz isn't anything that amazing, but I mean, he did his job against the Bengals and they completely embarrassed them. So I didn't expect them to really jump out to a big lead like that. I had the Vikings winning by a field goal, and then the opposite happens. Or Steelers won by 7, right? Or field goal.
It was 24-21.
Yeah, the Steelers won by a field goal, but they were out to an early lead. They completely first half it looked like they were going to run away with this game, and then the Vikings mounted a little bit of a comeback. But
Yeah, they got in. Wentz through a couple of costly interceptions that led
Yeah.
to touchdown, and that was kind of like the story of the game. Was basically 2 turnovers because the Vikings basically beat them in every statistical category, but 2 turnovers and 8 penalties compared to 0 and 5 penalties, which is basically the story of the game because Wentz 350 yards. They didn't run the ball very well, but I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, for the first
It's
time this year, the Steelers defense looked pretty good.
Yeah, I
They,
mean, the Steelers are. I keep telling Brandon, the Steelers and the Bears are like the two teams I'm not sure what to make of because they're 3-1, okay, and it's right now that division's beat up. The Browns and the Bengals are dead,
yeah,
and the Ravens are kind of got one foot in the grave now. So
yeah.
it's kind of ripe for the picking for them, but they haven't done anything really to blow me away. We both
I
took
mean,
uh
doesn't it
we
seem
both
like they
took the
do that
Vikings
every
to
year
win.
though?
Huh? What
It
was
seems
that?
like they don't do anything to really blow anyone away lately, yet they still somehow get that over 500 record. I had them honestly having a better record than the Bengals because I thought their defense would be better, but now they kind of, even with the crappy defense, they've lucked their way into being the favorites to win the division right now because of all the injuries that are happening, and they kind of,
Yeah, I mean they beat the Patriots. They fumbled 4 times, and that's unusual.
yeah. And
Oh,
we'll get to them soon, but Pats looked good last week, especially now that they finally used their guys they picked up in the offseason.
were they playing the Panthers?
Still, you put up 42 and won by 36.
All right, now the main event: Giants Chargers.
Yes.
Let
What a
me know.
game. So, I'm still I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. I still think to this day that the Maras won't acknowledge their turf is a problem because they don't want to admit publicly that they know there's a problem. And I'm sick and tired of crap happening to where it happened to Odell and now Neighbors, who look like he's just on the fast track to become an all-pro wide receiver, is now done for the year. Dart looked great in a short game, but again, I'm going to play devil's advocate. Chargers had, 3 days to prepare for him. They've never seen any footage of him, NFL-wise, and I think they got a little shell-shocked. However, I was very happy with the D-line. Dexter Lawrence is an absolute beast. Abdul Carter is as advertised. Love Scottaboo. To this day, I don't understand how this guy went to us all the way in the third round. I still don't understand it. There are so many teams that need a running back, and he would have been a perfect fit for so many teams. The Chiefs easily could have taken him late second, or even a late first. No one would have said anything. This guy was an
I don't know.
absolute beast at Arizona State. Granted, people will say, "Oh, his competition wasn't really that amazing," but he was showcased on the national level. He did everything when he played Texas in the college playoffs. This guy
Yeah.
is. I'm so happy we have him. I love the pick then, and I still love the pick now. I'm just hoping we can get a receiver. Now we have no Neighbors. So what is there really to do? Now we just gotta watch Dart throw to wide receiver twos the whole time and figure it out. It's gonna be a lot harder for him going forward. But I'm optimistic. That's all I'm gonna say.
So
'Cause- no,
what?
no, I was gonna say
So
I'm optimistic because I love what he brings to this offense. He gets rid of the ball quick, and he's got great legs.
Yeah. So I was not the biggest Cam Scattaboo fan coming out, and in the third round, I was watching the draft, and I was really high on Torrey Horton, and it's become kind of a joke between me and Brandon because Brandon had never heard the name before, and in our very first episode, we did our NFC predictions, and when I said I'm taking the Seahawks to win the division, he goes, "Well, why?" And I said, "Well, I think their offense got better." And he goes, "Better how?" And I said, "Well, they got Sam Darnold, they got Cooper Kupp, they got Torrey Horton." He goes, "Torrey Horton, who's that?" And I was like, he this really big and fast receiver I've learned then at
In small spurts,
Colorado
he's made
State.
some good plays for them.
Yeah. And last year I thought Tyrone Tracy did well enough where I didn't think that running back would be like a major uh, concern or whatever. So I'm looking at the third round. I'm like, man, it'd be cool to get Torrey Horton here because we need somebody to alleviate some pressure off Neighbors. And obviously, at this point, it's hard to deny or say anything negative about Scattaboo because he is the run game and he brings an energy and a
Oh
passion
yeah,
to this team that we haven't seen in a while. You know, he runs angry, he's mad, he's electric. Um, and one thing that I enjoyed seeing, over the last couple of months, towards the end of the preseason and now, is the Giants don't they look there's like an excitement, there's a good aura or feeling or buzz about them. They're not like I felt like in the past years there's been kind of like no
Passion to play, like they don't want to be there. You
they
saw
they look miserable, but they look happy and happy to be there.
you saw after the game, Abdul Carter tweeted 1-0, so pretty much saying that he doesn't count anything that with Russell Wilson. This guy's. I love him so far, but he's been big. He's been a big mouth on Twitter. So hopefully he doesn't turn into a little Sauce Gardner.
Well, I'm here for it. And
Yeah,
the defense, I'm so high on the defense. Our front
yeah.
seven, our pass rush, gets all the attention and the talk and the buzz. But I love our secondary. They're so young. Drew Phillips locked Lad McConkey the fuck down. They're so young. There's gonna be some mistakes here and there, but they're gonna grow and learn from it. Let's give them a fucking chance to redeem themselves when they make mistakes and learn from them. I think too often people want to cast people out, and you build through experience and that chemistry and cohesion and guys that want to play for each other. And
I've
I
been
think
saying this.
having I think having a core
Sorry.
of guys that can play together for several years without
Yeah,
replacing people and learning, that's been kind of the problem with the offensive line is it's a you never know who
revolving
last
door.
couple of years you never know who's going to be playing.
Yeah,
There's no gelling allowed to happen.
I think it's crazy. I've been saying this for years. Like, I was a fan of Tyler Newberg when they first drafted him, and he's looked great. So it's crazy to me. I was like, if the Giants could draft O linemen like they draft safeties, this team would have already had two more
Yeah.
Super Bowls. Because it's actually crazy how they've gone from I,
Landon
um,
Collins.
Collins to McKinney to Newman. Like, it's just
Yeah.
like clockwork. They're just like McKinney didn't win any All Pros with us yet, but did he win one last year? Even though he led the league in interceptions, I don't think he was All Pro, but.
I'm not sure, but he's been
minimum
lights out for Green Bay.
Yeah, minimum Pro Bowlers at safeties all the time, and I still to this day will defend the Evan Neal pick because if you watch the tape at Alabama, the guy was absolute rock solid. Had one holding call in 3 years of playing time? That's insanity. I just think the whole switching the position thing is what probably skewed him a little bit. Maybe he got here and he was like, but they swapped him back, and I just want a solid O-line and a foundation. And what you said about the secondary is perfect. We got 4 guys that are going to be playing with each other all the time, young, getting used to each other. That's a big thing when you know what your teammate's going to do before you even have to say it.
You got to have some trust there that they're going to
Exactly.
be there. They know what they're doing. Otherwise, you're playing, with the yips, basically.
That's a
But
very underrated thing.
I don't know if you're still alive in any survivor pools, but the Giants
All three
get
of mine.
Giants are getting completely disrespected. They're a 2.5 point underdog against the Saints. I
I
understand.
was tempted to take them as my pepper pick this week. Keep my hot streak going.
So, I mean, people unfamiliar with survivor pools, you pick one team every week to win. You don't got to take any spread or anything. Just who wins outright. And once you lose, you're out. That's why it's a survivor pool. And I took the Giants this week because, you don't want to pick every high caliber, juggernaut. I don't think, because at the end of the season, when you're down to, well, I've used the Bills, I've used the Eagles, I've used KC, I've used all these. Now I got to rely on the Saints to win me a game. So I took a risk this week. It's only a $10, I have 3 alive, but I have 1 alive that I joined 2 second chance pools, but I'm still alive, and one thing's going from the beginning. It's like $10 with like a $1.2 million pool. And I took the Giants this week on a risk because if there's any game that they should win, it should be this one.
Yeah.
I don't think the Saints can score on our defense, and I think that Jackson is efficient enough with his legs. I like Darius Slayton. Theo Johnson needs to step up. He got a TD last week. He was on
Finally
a
scored. Yeah.
on a missing poster all year until now, so he needs to step up. Slayton, Hyatt, Bo Collins,
Get me some Hyatt snaps, man.
do
Like
something.
any guy that could score 4 TDs against Bama in that Bama game lives rent free in my head. I was like, you know what? Any guy who could drop 4 TDs on Nick Saban's defense got to do something in the NFL. Like, give this guy some snaps or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the problem is there, but now's his opportunity.
Yeah.
We need people to next man up. That's the end of it.
So me
Giants are
personally,
going undefeated in Super Bowl, so
yeah, hopefully. Me personally, I'm taking the Colts this week in Survivor. I think they bounce back against the Raiders at home
yeah.
after a tough loss because of Adonai Mitchell throwing it out of the end zone. Hopefully
And
that guy
the
doesn't
holding
see
call.
and the holding. And a bad pick by Jones threw it into triple coverage at the end of the about 40 seconds left to end the game. But yeah, I think they bounce back at home against a struggling Raiders team. I think that should be a sweat-free Survivor
That's a pretty
pick.
solid pick.
A
All
popular
right.
one this week is the Lions, though. In
I mean,
Cincinnati.
that's to me like I want to save the Lions for later, but
I
mean
wasted
that's
them last week because I didn't want to go with. I've won a couple Survivor pools. I won one last year. I got screwed by the Commanders, but 2 years ago I won my 2 of my 3. And my biggest thing is I always avoid the most popular pick every week. So last week I avoided the Bills and I took the Lions instead. So
yeah, I mean that's got to be the no. I actually took them for our Fab Five. I said I'll take Lions at minus 10.5. That's how confident I am they'll just cook them. Titans Texans, most boring, awful game of all time. Anything anything worth
so
mentioning here?
so it's bad when I'm a big red zone guy, and and last week I was swapping every time Jackson's Dart went on offense. I threw the Giants on because even though red zone was nice to us last week, they put on the Giants a decent amount. And I went to go watch at my house, so my dad's very anal about keep red zone on, and he'd get mad if I swapped to the Giants, and it just turned into a whole big argument. But they barely put that game on, and what an absolute! Early on, it looked like it was going to finish like 6-3, and then the
Well,
Texans finally
yeah.
put some offense together.
Well, it was 6-0 going into the fourth. 2 field
Yeah,
goals. They finally put together a 13-play drive for a touchdown. I think the Titans respond with an interception. Poor Cam Ward, and that led to like a 4-play touchdown, so a short field. And then I think they did like a turnover on downs, and that led to another touchdown. So they scored, I think, 3 touchdowns in the fourth
yep.
quarter. But to rely on the Titans to turn the ball over, and it's 6-0 going into the fourth, I still think the Texans ought to be ashamed of themselves. 26-0 is the final score, but that's not how the game looked until
No.
it didn't matter anymore.
So I've been saying this for weeks. Titans fans, if there are any Titans fans watching this, just this year is just you're gonna be in a great position. You're gonna have a top 3 pick with your quarterback already. You don't have no.
Yep.
Some teams don't realize how much of an advantage that is.
Yeah,
Teams that are desperate.
I think you have your guy.
Yeah, they're just have fun with him. Hope he stays healthy and just develops and doesn't lose confidence because he's got it. He's made some throws where it's like, all right, he's got the it factor. Just build around him. Your GM's in a spot right now where he has one of the easiest jobs in the league. Just build around Cam Ward. It's kind of foolproof. Do not f this up, and hopefully they get him some weapons, an O line, something.
Facts. I agree
Yeah.
100%. Commanders Falcons, interesting game.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Falcons bounce back very nicely. I don't know what it is. Bryce Young is like 7-20 against every other team, and then 3-1 against the Falcons. I guess he just sees red when he sees the Falcons. He just turns into an all-star quarterback. But I expected the Falcons to bounce back, especially against Mariota. I did not think that they were going to lose to a Mariota-led Commanders team at home. Bijan, just get this guy the ball. I've said this from August. He was the number 1 pick in fantasy, and I am so happy that they're finally. I mean, he got vultured 1 touchdown from Algier, but he still put up 30 in fantasy this week. This guy is an absolute stud. He is going to win fantasy leagues this year. He is as advertised. I think he's the best running back in the league. And again, get Drake London the ball. Look what he does when you throw him the ball, Penix. You just use your stars and you'll win games and you'll put up points. I'm a big Penix fan. Yeah. And I'm just happy
And Kyle Pitts had a solid game for once. 5 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown. I was kind of shocked. You know, I took the Falcons to win the division, but over the last couple of weeks, I've had to admit that I'm a Baker Mayfield fan, and I didn't like Baker Mayfield, and I think it's because he went to Oklahoma and then was a Brown, and I didn't know if I liked the attitude or all the insurance commercials and stuff like that.
I feel
a shit talker. But that used to rub me the wrong way because it was for teams that I mean, I'm not like a big Bucks fan, but watching those first 3 weeks and those come from behind game-winning drives against the Falcons, against the Texans, and then against the Jets, he just has ice in his veins.
Yep.
He's got a completely dismantled O-line. They're on like their third-string tackles. But you know, Mike Evans is in and out. You never know who's going to be where, and he just goes out there and fucking balls. That's just what he does. But the Falcons, I was kind of concerned about because, you know, losing 30-0 to the Panthers is fucking odd. And they immediately, you know, let Young Ho Koo go. And I said on the last week's show, when I see teams, you know, after a loss like that, decide to start making these personnel changes, it seems desperate. Like they're already like, what the fuck? Something's not right. But this is a good quality win, Mariota or not. Penix looked great, Bijan looked great, and they're kind of schizophrenic right now. But I think that they're still going to be a contender and a playoff bubble team. There's something they're up there as far as NFC playoff race goes.
Yeah, they have their like random spurts, like their dominating win over the Vikings. Like if they can avoid what they did against the Panthers again, I think they can easily string together 9 to 10 wins and sneak in, especially in an NFC that's competitive.
Well, I mean, the NFC is really tough now. When we were growing up, it was all AFC was like where all the firepower was. But I think there's going to be like an AFC team that gets in at 9-8. There might be 2 of them, which is why I think the Ravens are still alive.
Because, well, the thing is that the NFC is full of just stacked teams, while the AFC has all the quarterbacks. Like the AFC
top
has
heavy.
Herbert, Burrow, Lamar, Mahomes. While the NFC, you see teams like, well, all right, Hurts is still a top 10 quarterback, but we got the Eagles that are stacked. Then the Packers are just completely loaded. The Lions are loaded. Tampa's still a great team.
The NFC West.
Oh, yeah. Seattle's a loaded team. The Rams are a loaded team. Like, it's just all these put-together teams that are coached very well. And it's just, I think the NFC is just going to be a really fun last half of the year. It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot tougher. Saints, Bills.
Bills fans definitely got a scare in this one. Saints cut it to 1 score with there was like 5 minutes left. And I don't know, I'm kind of like starting to, I pay attention a little bit to the Saints, and Rattlers look decent. Again, he's in a tough spot because that team is awful, but I feel like that's a guy they can somewhat build around and get some pieces. He's looked pretty good.
I think a lot can be said with this combination where you got Kellen Moore, first-time head coach, offensive guy. The entire world has no expectations for you. You're supposed to be a doormat. Yep. I can picture this conversation happening where Kellen's like, "Listen, we're gonna air it out. We're gonna play football. Nobody thinks we're gonna do anything. Neither one of us are on a short leash. So let's just play ball. Don't worry about it. Don't be upset to make mistakes. We're just gonna play, and whatever happens, happens. We're gonna build and grow as time goes." So I think that they might give people some scares right now because they're playing with nothing to lose. It's house money, and everyone else is, they're going down there, or they're playing the Saints, whatever's home or away, and they're like, "This is a W on the schedule. We're looking to next week." That's what a trap game is. A trap game isn't a team that's favored that lost. A trap game is when you overlook this week for next week against what is perceived to be an inferior opponent. And so they're going to give people some scares, except the Giants are going to cook them.
And granted, the only week they weren't competitive is when their special teams just completely imploded. When it was the against in Seattle, the block punt, the punt
Yeah.
return, and the game was already dead. Every other week they've been competitive and they've been in the game the whole time. It's just crazy.
Lions, Browns.
Ooh. So I'll admit that I was completely wrong about the Lions. They just completely shut me up.
You and me both.
Yeah. I will say that the Browns are just I just don't get the Browns. How they move on so quickly from a guy in Baker that kind of like revived them. And then now look at them a couple of years later after making that trade. Their only really good thing they have going for them is Judkins looks pretty elite. And then they have they got a once-in-a-lifetime player in Myles Garrett that's just going to rot away there unless he goes to a Super Bowl contending team.
Yep.
But I think the Lions have to make a move this year, and they look like it's now or never the way they're playing right now. Because they know last year they lost flukily to the Washington because Goff had one of his worst games ever. Ben Johnson was just doing some witchcraft plays last year in that playoff game, and Goff was just throwing it away to the Commanders. So hopefully we get the good Goff this year, and they'll make a run at it, because I think this is like one of their last few years.
Let's see a fucking crazy blockbuster. Jerry Jones calls up Cleveland Browns. Hey, we just got a couple first rounders. We'll throw in another one. Myles Garrett, bring him on down. How about that?
That would be awful for the fans of Giants.
I don't think there's anything special about this game. Lions just having their way with people playing with their food. Patriots, yeah. Panthers.
Drake May looks great. Diggs and Henderson finally played high snap counts, and look what happened. Their offense looked pretty great. Like you said, playing with your food is a perfect thing. They completely played with their food this week. 42-6 win. Absolutely just dominated. Gonzalez was back, shut down Ted McMillan anytime he was on him. Defense looks good, and honestly, I'm very excited for their matchup this week. They're playing the Bills on Sunday Night Football, and I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than people think.
Well, I took Bills in my Fab 5 minus 7.5. But yeah, this was a complete game by them. Drake May was perfect, 14-17, 203, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Also added a touchdown on the ground. Ray Henderson got a touchdown. Everyone, they just did what they wanted to do. And I mean, it is against the Panthers, but you kind of need those games sometimes as a confidence boost that you can do it. Stephon Diggs had his best game of the year. And like you mentioned, Christian Gonzalez, one of the best corners in the league, comes back. And when you can shut down the other team's best player, that's a significant advantage.
It's great you bring that up, because confidence is a real big thing in this league. And even putting up great numbers against the worst of defenses can really be like, oh, okay, this is how it like opens people like, oh, that moment. And
there's momentum, I think, is a real thing, and rhythm,
yes.
I think, is a real thing. And when everything feels difficult and all of a sudden it feels easy, there's a confidence thing there that I think, can do tremendous things for what was basically kind of like a struggling team that just came off like a 4 fumble game. So we'll see where they go. It's a pretty with the Bills in the division, it's tough, but you don't got to worry about the Jets or the Dolphins. So just play good, clean football, and they should be good.
Hey, listen, they're my bet of the year. So at VSP, my bet of the year was Pats over 8.5 wins. So
that's probably the easiest money of all time.
Yeah.
Because like we just mentioned a couple minutes ago, the AFC top heavy, and
now
if you're just above average, you should win 9 games.
Yeah.
The fucking shitty ass, lucky ass Eagles.
Dude, they're literally the Chiefs of last year, and I'm tired of it. Hurts completed 0 passes in the second half. So like,
And 2 weeks ago, he had the first half he had zero net passing yards. So two halves in different or two halves in different games, negative or zero passing
I
yards.
don't know if it's just him because he's capable of doing, or is it just it might be the play calling because I don't understand what it is with this team. They're just very comfortable with. It seems like when you play the Lions, they never take their foot off the gas, but with the Eagles, when they go up, they kind of do their like lazy bulk shit, like two runs with Barkley, and if they don't get 10 yards, they'll do like a curl flat and they won't get in the punt because they know their defense will stop you. It's just crazy to me. While the Lions will pull out the fake trip play to get a 60-yard touchdown or something like that. I don't know. It's the Eagles' offense is so boring to watch, and I'm sick and tired of it. And I think I really need some team to like actually shut this team up because I'm tired of them winning off bullshit. That's pretty much my rant for today.
I think I took the Broncos to beat them. I can't remember. Um, the Eagles are definitely strange, but I try to look at it from try to give it context because they have had arguably the toughest schedule. Opening against the Cowboys, which
Mm-hmm.
gave them a scare. Then you got your
Yep.
Super Bowl rematch, and then the Rams. Everyone likes the Rams, and now the Bucks. So
Yeah.
three of those teams are bona fide playoff teams. People, I think you guys, a couple of you guys over at Valley Sports picked the Rams to make the Super Bowl or win it.
Me and Nick both picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl. Yep.
And obviously the Chiefs are always going to be in the conversation, and the Bucks are not a pushover.
No.
They
They
got some
play everyone
injuries, but
tough.
they're dangerous. I don't know if you listen to a lot of Nick Wright or listen to like First Things First, but he's made the analogy that, and you mentioned it too, they are kind of like the Chiefs of last year, but for a different reason than you're talking about. I mean, it's the same reason that they're lucky and they're winning all these close games because I think they won like 9 or 10 games last year by a single score.
Yep.
But what Nick Wright said was winning when you're a Super Bowl champ and you're undefeated, winning is not enough anymore because everyone's saying you won, but, and just winning isn't enough. You need to win flashy. You need to blow people out.
Mm-hmm.
It has to look easy. So now they're getting all this criticism being undefeated. They're 4-0 against maybe four really good quality opponents. And they're kind of like, what's going on with the Eagles? Well, what's going on with them? They're 4-0. Um, Brandon likes to point the finger at the offensive coordinator. Was it Ken Patera or some shit?
Mm-hmm.
He thinks that he calls a really boring game. But I just get tired of seeing like the Buccaneers beat them in every statistic besides the score. And
Yeah.
obviously Eagles open up the game with a block punt return after
Of course. Of
two
course.
block field goals against the Rams, and it's just frustrating because we're Giants fans, but even if we weren't, I probably would still hate the Eagles, and I want to see them get their ass kicked, but they just keep managing to find ways, and it's hard to, I guess, like shit on them for it. It's boring, but it's working. We know that Barkley is not, he hasn't been unleashed yet, but yeah, I mean that passing game is atrocious. We don't know what it is, but they're 4-0 against four good teams, and fuck them.
Since they could be 0-4 if you change a couple of plays, which is crazy to think about.
Absolutely.
So
Uh,
they should really hope that keeps happening because look at the Chiefs this year. What happened? Actually, they won a lot of one-score games, and now everyone's like writing them off already.
they got that's the thing though. It's like they got to get healthy. We know and get Rasheed back from suspension.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are like, well, we know what's wrong with them, and that those things will fix themselves over time. The Eagles are relatively healthy compared to everybody else, and they're just it looks a lot more difficult than it did last year.
And it looks like they're going to have internal problems because now you got A.J. Brown complaining.
Absolutely, can't be happy winning.
And
He's got to have the ball too. Colts Rams.
the game I called pretty much down the nose. I said Colts will compete, but I think the Rams are just too good of a team for them to be like, all right, you know what, we're undefeated. Let's see what we do. But Rams pull it out at the end because they're one of the best teams in the league. But I think the Colts should win 10, 11 games this year because they look very good. And Jones had his Jones this game. He had a couple turnovers, and that's pretty much what lost it for them.
Well, I mean, Brandon brought up the point that those Adonai Mitchell,
That was just...
the premature celebration and the holding call, that's 2 touchdowns taken off the board right there.
Well, I will say that catch was a little fluky. He threw it into like double coverage, and the defenders like misplayed the ball and ran into each other.
Yeah.
So it was like the whole play was weird. So
it's hard to you can't say how things would be if this happened.
Yes, because
the
this
fact
happened.
that
Yeah.
But the fact that they went on the road against the Rams, give them a tough match,
Yep.
and maybe potentially those 2 mistakes cost them the game. But once again, this is a 3-1 Colts with Daniel Jones. Nobody expected anything from, and they just played a top team in the NFL and pushed them to their limits and gave them a really big scare. Because that game could have went either way.
Yeah.
Here's another surprise. Chiefs. No, let's go Jaguars, 49ers.
I was very surprised the Jaguars didn't blow this game. They looked like they were gonna, and their defense came through for them. Lawrence was begging to lose this game. Like, you ever see one of those? Like, the quarterback was begging to lose it with the way he was playing in the second half. But again, a team that should honestly be 4-0 because they blew it against Jake Browning and the Bengals.
Yeah.
And I think Lawrence has to wake his ass up or else this team is not going to go far because their defense looks pretty elite and the offense looks very mediocre, and they're making some... ETN is saving them a lot because their offense would be bottom of the league if it wasn't for ETN right now. So
I don't know if you heard this stat. I brought it up on our last show, our Pick'em show. Do you know how many turnovers the Jags had all of last year?
all of last year?
All of last year, all 17 games.
If I had a guess, I'd say maybe like 22, 21.
9.
9, okay.
They had 9 turnovers last year. Do you know how many they have now through 4 games?
They probably have like 9 or 10.
13.
Jesus Christ.
So I mean, you played against Jake Browning, you played against the Panthers. Call it what you want, but
wins or wins.
Getting things like that are helpful, you know. We haven't seen Trevor take form yet, as you mentioned, but Cohen has created a lethal elite running game because nobody believed in Etienne anymore. There's all these trade rumors. Maybe he can go to the Cowboys. Maybe he can go here. He can go there. He was so confident that he traded Tank, you know, and people thought Tank might be the guy there after Etienne
traded. A little too one-dimensional to ever be a 3-down workhorse.
But I was surprised. I can't remember if I don't know if I took him or not. I think I did. Yeah, that's the one game. Me and Brandon had everything the same besides he took Texans, I took Titans, I took Jags, he took 49ers. But that's a big win on the road against Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh. I was impressed. As you said, they tried to find ways to lose, but they won. And I think the Trevor Lawrence, BTJ shit's only going to get better. And they've given themselves a little bit of a cushion to work some things out. They got fucking Chiefs this week, so we'll see. Speaking of the Chiefs, big surprise this year. Chiefs-Ravens, thoughts?
So, I'm just so disgusted with the Ravens that I think it might be time to move on from Harbaugh. He is not who we think he is. I've been saying this for years. He's carried by his one Super Bowl win. He has been the reason they can't go far in most of their playoff games, whether it's scheming in the playoffs differently than they usually play, like running Henry 3 times against the Chiefs in the AFC title game and making Lamar throw like 25 plus times. I think it's crazy that Henry was, at one point the other day averaging 4.5, 5 yards per carry, and he had 3 carries at halftime. Crazy to me. And I think he's the reason Lamar got hurt with his hamstring, because he's trying to just make him do everything. And Chiefs really just took advantage of it. The Ravens' defense is awful. Mahomes looked like 2018 Mahomes out there just doing anything he wanted. And it was just an easy win for them. Andy Reid just completely came in and knew how to – they just know how to beat the Ravens. That's just what it is. Andy Reid just owns this team. He knows what he has to do every time to beat that team. They get ahead, and they just stay ahead. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, there's always been these rumors that John Harbaugh, because he's one of those like players coaches, and he wants people to he wants Lamar to get the credit he thinks Lamar deserves.
Yeah.
So people have criticized the fact that, in some of these big games, that's when he decides we're not going to be a ground and pound team like we're built for. We're going to let Lamar win it. And I think Henry had like 4 carries on the first drive for like 32 yards, and then only had a handful of carries for the rest of the game. And it's interesting. And I think I can't remember. Maybe I was watching your show. I don't think it was in the group chat, but we're all wondering. We're like, the Ravens' defense cannot be this bad, but they might be this bad.
And you know what's the craziest thing about Henry? For years, he's been the type of guy. His biggest runs always come in the fourth quarter when guys are sick of tackling him. Pretty much, when it's his 25th carry, he doesn't get tired. So on carry 25, he's taking it 60 yards because the guys are like, Jesus Christ, I got to tackle this thing again. Like, he's already averaging 5 a carry. Why don't you give it to him 15 times in the first half? The Chiefs' defense is going to go crazy trying to tackle this guy. He's a monster. I just don't understand.
He's a closer.
He literally is. It just doesn't make sense to me how this guy doesn't get 25 carries a game like McCaffrey or
minimum.
Touches.
In big games like that should be the game plan. And games where you're in control, you can give them a pitch count. We're up. We'll give you like 10 to 12. But in those spots, he needs to be the guy.
100%.
Bears Raiders. Terrible game.
Yeah. Raiders bad teams just find a way to lose. And Bears honestly shouldn't have won this game. I got very lucky that I covered on my pick with the Bears. But Caleb was pretty bad. But again, his O-line was just getting destroyed the entire game, so I can't really fault him as much. Their defense stepped up like crazy. What's his name made crazy play after crazy play. There were 2 interceptions on Geno where he jumped the route like 5 yards back and just came out of nowhere and picked it off. I forgot his name. Was it Amos, or who's 31 on the Bears?
I can't remember, but I know that he had 2 picks in there.
He had 2 crazy picks where he was off screen, and just come and jumped across the route and just completely picked it off. So I think the Bears defense saved them for once. They kept the offense in the game the whole time, and they snuck away with a nice win. And a game they shouldn't have won, but they won because the Raiders are not good. So Bears win 2 in a row, and you move on from games like this and just be like, all right, pretend it didn't happen. We got the W. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the sloppiest games I've seen in a while. We finally got to see a little bit of Genty get loose a little bit. It's amazing what can happen when you give a guy a little bit of room to run.
When you give a guy who almost broke a 30-year record in college room to run, it's crazy.
Well, I mean, you probably heard the stat that before this game, he had more yards after contact than he had yards, which is
crazy.
It seems fucking possible. But yeah, the Raiders very sloppy, and of course, I think this ended on a block kick. So go figure. Packers Cowboys.
What a game! But I know this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I don't know how you don't just go for the win. I'm sorry. If I'm LaFleur, I'm just like, you know what? F it. Just go for the win. I hate ties. I just hate ties so much. But I guess at the end of the day, the tie is going to make a difference with the Lions because they're going to be on their ass unless the Packers sweep them, which is going to be tough to do because they're not going to let what happened week 1 happen ever again. So I guess the tie was the right decision there. But Dak proved again why I said from the beginning that he's a great quarterback to get in fantasy. I think he's pretty elite. He's very good, and it's just their defense. We're talking like this might be the worst defense I've seen in my lifetime. They can't stop anything. It's insane to me.
I think Dak is. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you just knew whoever had the ball last was gonna probably win the game, and
should have
won the game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Dak is putting together his best fucking season he's had. He's been pretty reliable. As Giants fans, we've grown accustomed to respecting him but hating him, similar to Tony Romo, because they always have our number. I think they've won like 15 of the last 16 or whatever against us.
I think their records are identical. They've had like the same career trajectories.
That's true.
They can't get over the hump of like the divisional round, and they've had devastating playoff losses while having elite regular seasons. Except, but Dak isn't as injuries prone as Romo. Dak's had some fluky injuries where like his leg went sideways and stuff like that.
I'm not gonna say much about this game. I think most people in the fucking world watched it. 40-40 tie. Highlight reel shit going on all the time. George Pickens had a fantastic catch. Matthew Golden made a couple big plays finally for the Packers.
He got lit up on the punt return. Like, why are you using first-round talent on a punt return? It's really just not worth it.
He is not going to make that mistake again. My favorite thing about this game was Jerry Jones's pettiness and grudge holding. To hear some of the comments he had afterwards.
No, what did he say?
So I don't know if this was right after the game or the following morning. He was being interviewed and asked about it, and he goes, "Oh yeah, well, it was a great showcase for the NFL, and you got to see two top quality teams and some of the highest paid players in the world, and whether they're worth it or not." Just a direct shot at Micah. He was credited with that one sack, and it was a game-saving play, but it wasn't a sack because Dak was past the line by like a foot. But they gave him a sack, but
they
pretty quiet.
On the stat line, they said he was sacked for no gain, so that's probably why that's what the credit was, even though he gained half a yard.
So my takeaway from the game was Jerry Jones. I kind of like some of the pettiness. I like when people can take some shots, whether they're veiled or disguised in some way. I've never been a fan of Jerry Jones, or I hate the Cowboys, but I did take his side on this Micah Parsons saga, and I do believe his version of events that I think Micah and him had kind of like a gentleman's agreement, and then when Micah brought in his agent, it kind of like felt betrayed, which is kind of what I think.
Yeah.
Everything went sour, and what happened.
As a Giants fan, we should love Jerry Jones because he is the greatest reason why they can't win. He's just incompetent when it comes to putting a team together.
He's stubborn.
Yeah.
Jets Dolphins.
Was I so wrong about this game? I mean, the Jets didn't get it going until like the third quarter, but they just can't get out of their own way. Why? Early in the game, they're down 3-0, and they have a chance to take an early lead, and they give it to Braylon Allen when they have a all-world running back in Breece Hall, and he fumbles it at the 2-yard line. It's just little shit like that just really. Thank God I'm not a Jet fan because I'd be going crazy right now because I think they should build around Fields. Honestly, I like Fields. I'm a big fan of his, and he's had some good stats early on, and I think they just need a wide receiver too. And I think this offense will get better.
I'm not a fan of Justin Fields. I don't think he has a quarterback. But I've heard a lot of people just say how poorly coached the Jets are. Like um, I I don't like bad mouthing anybody. Like I don't. I wasn't a huge like I guess advocate for Aaron Glenn because as the Detroit defensive coordinator, the year before they got good, their offense was already good, but the defense was like giving up the most points in the lead or in the league. And it seems like his defenses only work when he's given like 4 or 5 first round draft pick
Mm-hmm.
players and trade for Zadarius Smith or whatever. And when he's got 5 or 6 first round draft picks on the defense and they're all healthy, then his defense is above average.
Yeah.
But the second one player gets hurt, then it all goes to shit again. Um,
Yeah, like look at last year. They lost so many guys, and their defense was paper.
I feel terrible for Garrett Wilson, who's got to keep putting up with
My God.
uh,
He is
subpar
such a
quarterback play.
he is such a star, man.
He's a
Talk about
stud.
like talk about like the one time in history the Jets did the right thing, and this like we're talking like I think he's top 5 in the league. He is just such a stud, man. He doesn't get talked about enough because he's on the Jets, but I love his play.
I think the Jets should draft a quarterback or whatever. Uh, but yeah, I mean, the story of that game was Tyreek Hill
For the
career
year.
potentially over.
I know, honestly, and he said he wanted to retire at 31, so I think this might be it.
I kind of would still, even though I'm not a big Chiefs fan or whatever, I know people are tired of the Chiefs, but if he's able to do something crazy or Travis Kelce's able to stick around, I kind of like the idea of those of a reconnection there and Travis and Tyreek retiring together. Uh, it's not looking that way. People are speculating that'll take him out for all of 2022, 2026 is kind
Yeah,
of like the idea right now.
yeah. Especially a guy that
Finally,
needs his legs.
yeah, that's his trump card is he's really fast.
Yeah.
Broncos in a must-win game because their schedule is going to get crazy. Cannot lose, and they do what they needed to do.
And they didn't
Bengals.
disappoint. Yeah, absolutely, just took care of business. Bengals after the first drive where they went down and kicked the field goal, they didn't pass the 50-yard line. It's just took care of business. You textbook type of win for a fandom. If you're a Broncos fan, that was just the easiest win of your life. Did not
And
have
they
to
had
worry
to have
for a
it.
second. Yeah.
They had to have it because they got the Eagles this week. But I mentioned on a previous show, uh, they cannot afford to lose any more games that they're supposed to win because the end of their season they play Chiefs twice, I think Chargers, Raiders, Packers, and Washington,
Yeah. No.
and
Brutal.
and you'll be lucky to split those. So they can't afford to blow anymore. They got the job done. My boy RJ Harvey finally had a productive game.
Yep.
They ran all over him. Bo passed all over him. And like you said, defense held the Bengals to, their side of the field for
Pretty much
90% of the
entire
game.
Yeah. Yeah. Just an easy win for them. They again, like you said, they had to have it.
Yeah. So, do you have any final thoughts? Valley Sports Pod.
Valley Sports Pod. So if you ever want to go check something out, we have a very fun thing going on with me and my co-host Timmy. We have something called the Pepper Picks. So at Valley Sports Pod on YouTube, TikTok, all the fixins, Instagram, where we signed a nice big old contract, and every week we give out 2 spreads, and the person with the worst record at the end of the year is going to have to eat a Carolina Reaper on air in the studio. It's going to be a whole big event. We're going to have like 10 of our friends there to watch us do it. It's going to be a show. But as of right now, I made a big jump this week. I went 2-0 and Timmy went 0-2. So I had a very bad start. I started 0-6. And then finally got my first win with Indiana Jones and the Colts 2 weeks ago. And then last week I went 2-0. And just like that, it's a one win game, I guess you want to call it, or so. He's 4-4, and I'm 3-6, or whatever it is, something like that, or 4 and
I just
6,
want to
4 and
say,
6.
To whoever makes it this far, I'm sure we'll clip some things out or like make them the
Yep.
separate little videos or whatever. I've enjoyed watching not just watching them, but interacting with them. Good guys, funny. Uh, they got a way better budget and spend way. They're way more professional looking and acting than me and Brandon are, where we just kind of hit record and go. They got a really nice studio set up. Their contract signing's funny. They made this, old like Declaration of Independence style looking contract to sign, and they're legit.
Thank
We
you.
plan on interacting more, us on their show, them on our show, uh, until they decide the Zack guy's too fucking nuts and we're tired of him.
No, no,
But
we'll never get tired of you because you're a Giants fan, honestly.
check out Valley Sports Pod, available everywhere you get your podcast, and we'll link their stuff and share it all over the fucking planet.
Yeah, thanks for
What do you
having.
think about that?
I love that. Thank you for having me on, and you got to come back on our show and annoy Timmy some more because
Yeah,
he's
anytime.
very easy. He's very easy to get going.
All right, folks. That's week 4 review. No Brandon, fantastic, flawless, seamless show, and everyone have a good one.
Take care.
I'm crazy.